Hi students, once again we are going to take up a new poem for our discussion. A little learning is a dangerous thing, which has been composed by Alexander Pope. We know that Alexander Pope is a classic poet of 18th century and whatever he has written is a classic example of his writing. So Alexander Pope has also been making criticism on criticism. He is not only a poet but a critic of merit. And just in this present poem that you are going to talk, a little learning is a dangerous thing. He is just going to attack on the critic who is actually passing out his view about the poem, about the composition without having much knowledge to do so. So when just we do something without having commanding knowledge, we actually are just going to invite a dangerous thing in our life. It is not only related to the field of criticism, it is related to all fields of life. We can say that it is just also said now, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So we can say that still we realize that his a maxim is well written, and he has written that maxim before he has studied the mentality of the critic who is below standard but passing a very serious comment for the namesake. So it is not the actual thing that should take place. So just we are going to take up this time text and analysis of his poem. It is just essay on criticism in which this poem has been kept, and you find that he is just going to say that a work of criticism is a very serious work. It is sometimes more important than the actual creative work, because we find that uh, in the just critical analysis we find that a talent is preserved or talent is destroyed. So in general term also we can say that a person who is emerging as a poet just is eager to just listen a word of praise for his poetry. That is much more encouraging for the poet or even a new artist. So he is just trying to find the actual comment of his work. He is not trying to find a lopsided and partial comment which either just destroys the art of the emerging poet and writer, or just discourage him to write further. So in both the situations what you find is a very serious consequence. So he is writing very perfectly because he is the actual man of reasoning, actual man of observation. Whatever he has written is the consequence of his observation and great just study of society. So we cannot say that this kind of poem is written only sitting into just a study room and imagining everything. So he says that a little learning is a dangerous thing, and so he is suggesting to the poet, drink deep or taste. So the critic also is required to go just deep into the text, or he should also be the man of knowledge or perfect knowledge. He should be a man of reasoning, man of wit, man of philosophy, man of observation, who has seen life and who has actually drunk in deep the just the situations of life. It is just the matter of taste. How greatly we are able to take the test of the composition is going to decide the critical work that one is making. It is not a simply surface reading of the poem that can make someone pass on the great criticism. So sometimes you can say just a critical work is going to be more important than the actual work. And there are some critics who are just going to say something more valuably than the actual poet is saying. So, how is it possible and when it is possible? It is possible only when the critic has taken it very seriously, because it is a very serious work, it is a very conscious work. It is just not to sit and write and pass any judgment on any kind of work of art. It is a judicious work. Just we can say it is the work of justice that we are going to give to the artist. So a justice can never pass out any comment or any verdict just going and studying at the surface level of the case. So when a case is just forwarded before him, he is just going to drink the case deeply, and only then he can come to the actual just substance of the case, and he is able to make the true and perfect judgment. So not the Parian spring. It is not just taking a few drops of water from the Parian spring and saying and claiming that, okay, we have already drunk enough. It is not the correct thing. So this is the what you can call shabby nature of the poet, or the critic. He thinks that critics are mostly trying to pretend himself to be a wise person, to be a person who has already drunken deeply or tasted deeply, or he has taken some good just amount of water from the Parian spring. But actually speaking, he is not just a man of taste. He is not a man of thought. He is not, because man of taste and man of thought is just to be begotten only when just he has taken the deep analysis of everything, or he is a knowledgeable person, a person who has known just pros and cons of the piece of work that is put before him. So their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain. Most often you find that the brains of critics are intoxicated because he thinks that he is in superior position, because he is not going to write. Writing is actually the work that needs lots of contemplation. But criticism is also a contemplative work, provided the person or critic is a very serious one, a knowledgeable one, a person who has actually studied enough to do that kind of work. But in contrast, what is happening? We find that a critic is not even able to understand the matter very clearly. A critic is not just capable of passing any perfect judgment, because he does not deserve to do that kind of thing. He is in want of just what he can call perfect understanding about the poem. So when just you are half learned and we try to pass a judgment, pass a comment, what happens? It happens to the critic that his brain is intoxicated. He is just supposed to be the person of justice, and whatever judgment he is making is just going to make him intoxicate. He thinks that, okay, he is much more powerful, and so the person is looking at him because he is a great person to comment on the work. This kind of feeling is just going to make him perfectly mad, and drinking largely sobers her again. So it is the source of muse, that is Parian spring. Here from we can just take and understand the art of writing. We can say the more we are drinking, the more we sober. the water from Parian spring. So, what do you think? Whether we should not just sober enough and start commenting, or we should sober enough before we are going to start? So we can say when we are just going to be well equipped in the art of criticism, after studying a lot, after knowing the situation a lot, after finding a great understanding about the work, oh, we become a different person. So in general term, it is not happening. Still today we find, it is relevant today also, because you find that it is not the case which was prevalent in the 18th century English society only, when Alexander Pope has realized that kind of thing. We simply find that people are very foolishly talking about the literary works, that they do not even understand what the poet has to say, because just he is in super pop just super literary position. He thinks that he is just offered a rather uplifted position, so he is just doing that kind of thing. Being a critic is not the testimony of your being the best critic. So it is your position that cannot make you just a good worker, just and that is not the guarantee of your good work. So point is that just a strength emerges only when we are applying ourselves to the work of art and the study of it. So here just we have some words that we have collected, and we can say that we have kept it under diction section. So Parian spring, just of or relating to the region of Parian in ancient Macedonia, or to the muse who were once worshipped there, or poetic inspiration. So in ancient Macedonia, we can say that it is the region of just Peria, which was worshipped enough, because the people were thinking that here from just they can get poetic inspiration. So it is a sacred place, as a matter of fact. Just in our just Hindu mythology also, we find that source of music is coming from goddess Saraswati, and so we always just worship her to just give us the strength of poetic imagination and so on. So the more we are obsessed with the knowledge, the more just powerfully become, so far as the art of criticism is concerned. So here we are just going to take another word, that is shallow, meaning shoal, draught, draft, intoxicate, elate, sober, make solemn. So here now we are coming to the analysis part of the stanza that we have already undertaken, and we can say that a little learning both excites and stupefies us. Because just in day-to-day observation, you find the person who is actually full with knowledge is going to be grave, is going to be serious. He is not going to just show his ability every now and then. So because his brain is not excited, he is not proud of anything else. He remains calm and cool, and his work is also quite just perfect. So here we can find two types of people in the field of knowledge. Just one, the person who is well equipped, well just knowledged, and so he remains calm, he remains cool. He is not showing anything, just and he need not showing anything. On the other hand, just a majority of the people are having little knowledge about the subject, and so they are always excited. They are fearful to get excited, and they are just going to justify themselves. Just just when we are making an extensive learning, or we are drinking largely of the spring, a mythological fountain sacred to the muse, makes us serious and just wise. So it is a mythological fountain, and in Macedonia, just people of poetic mind were going there to just what you can call drink largely that just art of muse making, should be developed in them, and they could be serious and wise people. But it does not happen this time. We are not going to make a sadhana of anything else. In our tradition, we can say that there is a word sadhana which is just going to indicate that he had just been very much serious of his work, and he has spent lots of times working upon a particular kind of thing to just elevate his idea and knowledge to the level where just he is knowing everything, and he is in the best position to comment on the work of art. Now we can say drink deep or taste not the fair in spring. This simply refers to the fact that the swallow drafts intoxicate brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. And we find that so we should be studious. We should try to study so much before you are going to do and make any comment about anything else which is just before us for our discussion. Now here, the little learning or knowledge befuddles or intoxicate the brain, and we find that graveness comes with our knowledge, and just we can say the shabby knowledge is just very much observed out of the little knowledge that we find and that we use. So it misleads us into the thinking we know more than in fact we do. So this kind of just deviation is all because of our half-learned idea. When just our mind is mature enough to get the idea, and we can say when we are mature of getting idea, we have already got ideas to make our mind mature. So we can say that we are in the position to pass out our best criticism, and we can be very happy to listen to our criticism as well. So we can say that we are just actually just worshipped. So just we can say the ancient classical poets and critics were worshipped all because of their just great works that they have done, and those great works are all due to the consequences of their great labor they had made. So what is the remedy to just get ourselves off from this kind of stupid idea which makes our mind intoxicate? It is just to continue to learn, if this is the habit that you are continuing to learn, we find yes, these demerits are just very much thrown away from our personality. So drinking largely at the Padian spring, the spring sacred to the muse and source of knowledge of art and science, should be very sincerely worshipped. They should be just worshipped with all just plenty of time, that we are able to learn everything very perfectly. And here too also you find that there are some words for us: fired at first sight with what the muse imparts, in fearless youth we tempt the heights of arts. So just he's talking about just what we can call muse and poetry writing. Art of poetry writing is going to just make us fire, make us just write something. So especially youth is fearless, and we can say the youth can get the heights of arts when just he is worshipping muse very correctly, because it is after the worship of muse very correctly you find that he is fired at first sight to write the best, to criticize the best. So it is the just a fearlessness that is very much coming to the young people only when just the goddess muse is very much happy on him. And just goddess happy, being happy simply implies that we are making her happy by your labor, by your dedication, by your study, by your depth of knowledge, by your wisdom, by your reasoning, and by your argumentation. So these are all the faculties of mind which are brought out only by a great deal of study about everything. And when just a young person is just going to attain all these kind of things, he becomes fearless, and then the height of art is to be seen, through his just writing. So muse is art or talent of poetry, and impart is give and provide, tempt is influence. So these are all the possible sets of words that we have just taken for our discussion. Now we can say the focus is art. Just when you are trying to focus on art, it requires a certain degree of respect and attention to be taken seriously. It is not just simply getting exam passed and cleared. Most often you find that we are just appearing at examinations, and we are trying to get degree in certain examinations, and we can claim that okay, we have done well. That is another thing. That is all for degree sake, that you are doing everything. It doesn't mean that we are going to be a great poet, a great critic, because it is another kind of business. It is very serious business. This is respectful area where attention is to be just taken to the study of art, to know the sutras of arts by which we can make the best possible creation. So unfortunately, what happened even in the Pope's day, we can say that people regularly transcend their depth of knowledge and skill in a given in a field. And so just we find that we should be a versatile personality. Yes, even today we can say that we are living in a specialized world, when one person is just getting a specialization in one field, and okay, just he is well versed in that particular field. But the art of just writing, the art of criticizing is just something different. Something different in the sense that here people should have just expertise on different fields. It is not simply on writing and something, saying something. Okay, he should be expertise just in language, in composition, in history, and in culture, in science. So you can say that that specialization can hardly just help a person do a very excellent work. So we can say that we should have just a study of different kinds of knowledge, different parts of knowledge. So the problem with reasoning and judgment is that too many people have no idea, and they have started writing criticism on the work. So it is a very alarming situation to the poet, and he is not going to accept that kind of situation. It is not an acceptable business. When just you are doing your business without being just knowing all ins and outs of that business, we are not going to just do any justice to that work. But you find it has been the case in India that with little knowledge into particular field, just we start working, and we just also are starting making comments on the work, and we think okay, that we have done a lot. Now here there is another portion of the text. While from the bounded level of our mind, short views you take, nor see the lengths behind. With short-sightedness, we cannot see the length of knowledge. We can say knowledge is unbounded. There is no just limitation to our mind. We cannot know to what extent it can go to create something. So we find that we are just making our mind functional only when just we have extended the range of our mind to just work on. So we find that if we are taking the short beyond anything else, we can say that no, we are simply just prohibited from just seeing the lengths of the mind, lengths of the knowledge. So it is endless, it is boundless, so it is unbounded, we can say. So we should not try to think from our bounded mind. And if we are doing this kind of thing, what happens? We see only just a little portion of knowledge, little aspect of knowledge, and we cannot say that can make you a very perfect and great critic. So, but more advanced, behold with strange surprise, new, distinct sense of endless science rise. It is just a kind of sense development, and that sense development is just making our mind scientific. It is an endless science that arises out of the very mature development of sense. So we should try to advance our sense, that it can just reach to the strange level where we find that yes, something unique is taking place, something strange is taking place. So let it be expanded as just as just good as you can. So here we find that here once again the seeing just behind the curtain is just a kind of art. It is also a kind of science, and this kind of thing happens only through our penetrating knowledge that just provides us to look through, and it comes only by the hard labor. So Pope notes that persons are often misled by pride to write or criticize beyond their wit. So we can say that they are simply misled, and misleading just consequences all because of the pride that the poet and the critic are developing. They are thinking, okay, that they have got wit enough to do that kind of thing. In contrast, they are limited. They have got a little knowledge, a little learning, not a full. It is why it has been called a dangerous thing. You find that your little knowledge is keeping you always into just intoxicating situation, and it just invites a lot of dangerous things. So he makes reference to the Parian spring, showing that they are expressing their thoughts by just knowing a tiny amount of the full art. It is why, a Parian spring is so fast that we have to spend lots of time to just take water from. So just you are taking a little water and you see that, okay, we have drunk in Parian spring. How is it possible that in a short time you are going to drink the Parian spring and claim that, okay, the weight from the Parian spring has been taken, and you are all now well equipped in weight and thought and argument, in sense development, and you are in the position to write such a great poetry? No, it is not possible. So he says that it is all just making just to be fool. And just it is just like a misleading fact in which you are living throughout the life. And it is what the dangerous situation is. Your life is spent all because of your dangerous idea, dangerous wit that you have developed in yourself, that we have got everything, although we have got little. So the thing is that we should not try to say that kind of thing, and we should not be into the contented phase of our mind that whatever you have got is enough. Now there is no need of further extension of idea. We can say it is a continuous process. So we should try to extend and extend and extend, and the more you extend, the more commanding result you find. Thanking you for listening all these things. Thank you.